Hey, Sarah.
Hello, hello. I'm trying to resituate. I'm going to see if it works. Looking at the camera and notes, and to see you now, I'm over here, so maybe I need to go back over. So what have you been up to?
Well, we got a new little, I'm bringing him to this session.
All the puppies. We need all the, that's so, is it he or she?
It's a he. It's a he.
Looks like a teddy bear.
Oh, he's a little Yorkie.
Oh, so
and his name's Kieran, and he is about 14 weeks.
Uh-huh. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So cute. So when did you get your puppy?
I think we've had him about 5 weeks. We got him at 10 weeks, or wait a minute, no, it was 11 weeks. Yeah. So.
Oh.
Yeah.
So cute.
Thank you. Thank you. So he's been keeping us busy during the pandemic.
I would love a puppy. I'm trying to talk Ryan into one, so wish me luck.
Well, then don't tell him I've forgotten. It's been 17 years since I've had a puppy.
And all of it, like, it's a baby.
It's a baby. I totally forgot. It's a baby. We had we still a little bit not sleeping through the night with some of the, yeah, don't tell him that part. Don't tell him that part.
Okay, I won't.
I'd forgotten that.
But it's worth it.
It is. He's so much fun. He's so smart. He knows how to sit, lay down.
Wow.
Come. He does a little trick called dance it. I don't know. We got about 5 tricks now.
Okay. How have you been learning how to do the tricks? Are you, because it's hard with COVID, so are you doing any in-person sessions?
No, I'm self-taught from books.
Uh-huh.
And then and just have always taught my dogs to do the things. We're building up to roll over and shake.
Oh, it's awesome. Very cool.
And he's so smart. He's caught on to so many of them. So he might give me a run for my money. I'm coming close to the end of what I've taught the other dogs that I've had. But
right.
Yeah.
My sister's dog, they didn't teach him too much other than like the sit and stay. And then like if you go like this, bang, bang, and then it would like roll over.
That's the one I want. I never taught that one before. That's the one I want to. I think
I don't know how she did it.
I have to see online. I'm like, I need to teach that one. I haven't taught that one.
It's just cute.
Yeah, I think he can do it. He's so smart. So yeah, I think he did this funny thing when we first got him. He has a pen and a crate, and they're all connected. And we got him all these toys, and he went and he would gather up all of his toys, put them in his pet bed, and then lay on top of them. It was so adorable. Every time I would put him out so he could play with them, he'd run around and grab them all up and put them in his pet bed and lay on him.
If it's comfortable, I guess.
I guess he's feeling more secure now. He's letting them stay out in the pen, and he doesn't feel the need to, hoard them and lay on them.
But that makes sense.
I think so.
It's kind of a
he wasn't sure they were all for him, maybe. Yes, yes.
Hey, Vanessa.
Thank you for sharing.
Hey, Vanessa, what kind of puppy is he?
He is a teacup Yorkie.
Yorkie.
He's a special color called a gold dust.
He is adorable.
Thank you. Thank you. He gives a lot of unconditional love.
I think Jason Isbell's new album has a song about him. It's really good, really, really good song. Overindulged Only Children. It's really, you should check it out. Well, now his name is Kieran.
Kieran, yeah. Kieran,
cool. Great name.
Kieran Giovanni.
Nice. Nice.
Thanks, guys.
Sarah, are you ready to begin?
I'm ready when you guys are. I do have a PowerPoint because that's what I do, and I have more visuals since I'm an artist. So I'll switch it to the share screen, and let me know if anything is weird to see or if I need to troubleshoot anything. Just keep me posted.
I wanted to say that I don't know if you heard this in the earlier session, Sarah, but everybody's been introducing themselves. But I wanted to say that Sarah is not only a very talented artist, but an amazing librarian. And I've gotten to know her in both capacities, but certainly mostly as a librarian. And she heads up the community aspects of the library in Panama City, Bay County. And she's been so good to me over the years. I appreciate her so much. And so talented. Thank you so much for being here and sharing what you're going to today. Should I make you the host? Would that help? Does it matter?
I think, let's see if I can share screen yet.
Okay.
You're going to have to, maybe make me a host.
Okay.
Maybe I'll see if I can share screen by then. Right now it's not letting me.
Okay. You are the host.
And Sarah, I wanted to say I've admired some of your artwork.
Oh, thank you.
On display up here in the Amelia Gallery. What did you have at quarantine? I know I saw something.
You're gonna see them in this PowerPoint as well, but they're the ones that they kind of had girls from either detective novels, or there was like a rainbow of color and glitter. I like glitter a lot.
Okay.
Who doesn't?
You have anything in for the cup show? I don't know if you're into ceramics, but
I don't do ceramics, but I always enjoy the cup show.
Yes, the cup show starts Monday and it runs through December the 4th here at the Amelia Center Gallery here at Gulf Coast. Come on out and enjoy it. It's free and open to the public.
And one thing I've noticed about art shows is I feel very safe attending art shows, because sometimes you might not feel comfortable being in public, but it's always really spacious. You usually don't have very many people in the same space as you at all, and you can go wear a mask and go your pace. And even the Panama City Center for the Arts and the Amelia Gallery, it's a great way to get out of your house safely. Okay, I can do the presentation share screen. So I'm going to do this. It's going to take a second. Right now, my whole screen is black. So it's figuring things out.
We can still see you.
You can see me. Oh,
yeah,
good.
Yeah. And hear you, of course.
Okay. I'm just waiting for things to catch up still.
Now it just turned black.
Okay.
So that's how far. There you go.
We're share screening. I think you can see my PowerPoint.
Yes.
And first, I just really wanted to say a big thank you to Michael Lister for inviting me on, and we'll have to plan our next, I know December, we're going to try and troubleshoot what we can do for that. So we'll keep people posted. And my presentation is really just going to go through a few ways to de-stress with creative distractions. And it's a two-part program. So I am an artist and a librarian. Even my Instagram handle is The Artist and the Librarian, so if you want to find me on Instagram. And I really identify with both of those identities. So I just kind of claim both of them equally. I don't know if I could say one over the other. I think it's pretty even. And so I'm going to do part with art, part with books. One moment, I'm going to do a view full screen. Okay, who else is ready for 2020 to be over? I really tried to make this presentation as quirky and cute and bubbly because I feel like we need as many distractions as possible. So even my reading suggestions are probably a little more cutesy and bubbly. But it's been a really stressful year, not only with COVID-19, it was an election year. We're still recovering from Hurricane Michael. And then we have our normal stresses on top of that. So we have our family life and work life and just normal stresses that you deal with, and then compounding them with everything else. It's just been, we need as many things to healthily distract ourselves as possible. find escapism, but in a healthy way to be able to manage that stress. And I think a lot of like the yoga meditation practices fit this, and then mine are going to go into the creative meditative ways to de-stress as well. So when you feel overwhelmed, be creative, and you don't have to be like a fine artist. You can be creative by picking up a new instrument or picking up an instrument like Michael Lister mentioned, and photography, knitting, embroidery, and any of those handiwork things are really good for just like completely distracting yourself, like doing a little crochet. I don't normally work with watercolor, but my series that I worked on most recently involves a lot of watercolor. And that's a meditative process where you kind of just have to let it go with the flow and watch how it's moving within the water and how it dries. And so that was relaxing to learn and play with. Also just journaling or doodling, keeping just a notebook out so that you can you can even doodle while you're watching TV, or, and it doesn't have to be, it just, every little bit of practice, once again, it's accumulative and you get better and better at what you are doing. And these are all activities that just get your mind away from doom scrolling. I don't know if anyone else has been doing that, but I've been doing a lot of doom scrolling, so it's trying to find ways that are just healthy and will just make your mind calm for that hour or two, and then just let yourself kind of rest. And then also being creative, these activities are ones where even if you like learn something new or do a little bit, you kind of get a gold star because you're accomplishing something, and that also is a win for your morale. And I know we mentioned this earlier, but everything's hard. Nothing's just easy and you get it right away. So even when you're new at something, it gets better with practice and not to give it up just yet. So you're going to want to set yourself some personal goals. I work best if I have something to work towards. And I really try and schedule a show because that's the way that I'll know I'll make. I'm busy. My weekends are limited. My time is limited. So I usually try and get myself booked for something. And then that way I can make specifically for a show, and I know I want all new work and it's got a deadline. I have to have it done by this time. That's how I personally am best, but it doesn't work for everyone. You have to find your own way of creating your personal goals. And it could just be setting aside a certain time of day to practice or make. Bloom Where You're Planted is one from my latest series. I made most of the work after March 2020. So we were deep into COVID, and it was a good way to distract myself when everything was very unknown. I primarily, and I think this ties in with me being an artist and a librarian, I have a wide background on different mediums. I've done performance art, I've done sculpture, I do some photography, but I'm not as good at photography, but a range of mediums. But the one that I've been doing lately has been collage, because I work in a library, and a lot of times the books will become damaged and then you have to throw them out. So I try and find those images that I like, that gives them a new home, and it's an affordable practice for me as well. I'm drawn to certain types of like colors. Like even if you look at this is an image where the girl herself is from like a ballerina history book, and the cactus is kind of just a how to grow cactus book. But the coloration, that saturation, is very gaudy. I love gaudy coloration. I'm drawn to images from like the 70s and 80s where you get that weird print quality. I don't know if you know those. It's a little oversaturated, and I am drawn to that. And then her halo is a little bit of watercolor just to pull the piece together and kind of pull the colors from those flowers. Okay. The hardest part of my own practice is finding the right images. So I'll just kind of like have a set going at once. So I'll cut them out if I like it, and then I'll start just rearranging as I go. And this one is what my exhibit was called at the Panama City Center for the Arts. So Ray of Sunshine, and it's something my grandfather calls me. So that's kind of where I pulled it from. But I have been working a lot with color theory, which is something that I don't normally dive into. And I've been having a lot of fun with like what happens if you just move the colors a little bit this way or that. And this is much more of that your Roy G. Biv rainbow. But and then once again, I really love glitter and anything sparkly. I had a gold leaf phase for a while. So now I think it's jumping back into glitter. And so I have to find the image, and then I go through different steps. So for this one in particular, I had to kind of ponder what I wanted happening with that space and cut the image to fit what I wanted the watercolor to look like. And I wanted to play with her hand, kind of making it more interactive. I have notes, and I'm not reading my notes very well, so I'm gonna make sure I don't miss anything. Okay, so one of the main things I wanted to point out with this slide is make an environment that's conducive to creating. So when I create, I get messy. It's a mess. It's a hot mess, but it's a creative mess, and I need it to be messy. So I have like multiple pieces I'm working on at the same time. I'm not gluing things down until I know I want it to be in that spot, in that place. So with the collage, I've been using watercolor paper for my background. And I'll just have several collages kind of going at once, seeing if I like the placement, seeing if I know what I want to happen with the watercolor component. Then once I know, like in this case, then I start marking out where I want the watercolor, doing the watercolor, letting it dry, and then I'll glue down the image, because if you do the other way and you've already glued the image down, it's going to warp with the watercolor. So you don't want that. So then you're going to do the image next. And then once that's dried, I add the glitter, because then that can go on top of anything and you'll be all set. So that's my personal practice with these. Okay. Here's another one that's similar, and it's called Same Song and Dance. And to push yourself just a little bit each time when you're making. So you're not going to make these drastic changes, and you want your work to be able to be a set. You want them to be cohesive. So just try something a little different. So like in this one, I have the rays going in a different way, but then I'm noticing how they look together at the same time. You want it to be strong on its own. You want it to be strong as a piece or a set. So it's working just slight variations. So what happens if I just use more cool colors versus warm colors? What happens if I use more glitter? And how does that change the piece? And another thing that I use a lot of is the number 3 when I'm making. I used this a lot when I was doing assemblage sculpture. And I like 3 materials and then seeing what that happens. So using the number 3 gives yourself a little bit of a rule guideline, and then you're able to be creative within that set of confines. So like I have the glitter, watercolor, and one image. So those are the 3 elements that are happening in this piece. But then I can play still and with those elements. It's not always 3, and the 3 can change, but for the most part, I found that if you're trying to kind of give yourself a box to work within, but then still be creative, the number 3 seems to work really well for me. Okay, whoop, now I'm going everywhere. So this slide, embrace your anxieties. Sometimes I create my best work when I'm really anxious and I need to work through things, because making art is very much a form of journaling in a way. And you're kind of working through your personal anxieties. And these are a few of the pieces that were at the show at the Amelia Gallery, as well as one that wasn't. I think the one at the end wasn't at the Amelia Gallery. But the images themselves, I was kind of pulling from like the old horror monster movies, such as the one in the beginning. So that's Wolfman from the 1930s. I don't know if you can recognize the film. And the middle one is also another film, but she looks very kind of confused and anxious. And then the girl at the end is from an old detective novel. So, and I don't know when we stopped doing this, but where something's like trying to chase you and you just go, oh, like that's something that's very unrealistic, but the poses in all of these are very similar. It's like, okay, I'm just gonna let it attack me. Whoa. But I wanted to play with this idea of something that you couldn't see. COVID-19 is something invisible that you really can't see. You don't know where it is. And I mean, it could kill. You just don't know. Wear your mask. And I also combined an element of like, I had a mushroom book, which kind of had a creepy look to it. And so I have mushrooms and algae kind of coming out of the image as well. So even though these are more than 3 elements, I'm still focused on 3. So I've got the girl, I've got the rainbow, and I've got the mushroom. So those are my 3 when I'm working at these pieces. All right. And I'm still playing with color theory a little bit as well, and trying to find images that would match the colors that I was painting with the watercolor. And I like to chop off the heads of a lot of the pieces, and it's kind of fun. Okay. So COVID-19 has been really stressful, but I've been learning some new things. I've been a little brave. When I was in the show at the Panama City Center for the Arts, because people weren't coming in as much, more galleries are showing work. They're taking pictures of all the pieces. So I think my work was seen by the Hunger Journal, which for writers, that's also a possible place to submit. The Hunger Journal it's 2 times a year that they publish, but they do poetry and short stories, and they have 1 featured artist. So I'm going to be their featured artist for the winter edition. And I don't think that would have happened unless my work was more visible. And I don't know how this happened, but a lot of times within the art world, you're like, I'm not going to show my images. You have to see them in person. And I think just like letting yourself like know that right now we're always in a world where not everyone can make it. So we really should be just sharing more of what we're creating so that others can see it, and it can lead to other opportunities as well. And so I was brave and I submitted into Candy Floss magazine, which has amazing artists. I really like the aesthetic. It matches my work in the sense that it's like quirky and very feminine. And these are the 2 pieces that got into the catalog. There's a lot of art journals out there where you can find when they're going to do a kind of a submission timeline. And this one is a quarterly, and they'll do a call out for submissions. It's like a $25 fee, much like a juried art show. And you just hope that you get accepted. And it works really well with COVID, because you don't have to travel or do anything like that, but you can still share your work. And the really cool social aspect is everyone's advertised through their Instagram handle, and I'm now following a lot more artists, and they're following me, and we're liking each other's work. So it's kind of expanding my little bubble in a time where you would think that we would be very isolated. But yes, I would encourage you to be brave. Make those submissions when, because rejection's hard, and you're going to get rejected sometimes, but what if you don't? Just to try it. Okay, so now I have more work that I'm going to share during our lunch break. I have a little bit of overlap, but I tried not to overlap it too much so that you're seeing something new. And so as a reminder, I just wanted to say that if you're not creating, enjoy other people's creations and absorb yourself into a good book. And that is also another way of getting that mind bubble to where you're not focused on the doom scrolling, you're focused on a world, an environment that's been created that you can just hop into. And try new authors or familiar favorites, like maybe some more Michael Lister's books. And mine are gonna be super cheesy, cutesy recommendations from here on out. All right, so one thing is that to give yourself permission to read those children's books and the young adult titles or graphic novel. Graphic novels are a format that I think a lot of adults feel like, oh, it's just like a comic book and I wouldn't be interested. But the thing about graphic novels, and they do have adult graphic novels as well, and it's not just superheroes. There's whole books, there's a ton of adult memoirs in graphic novel format that are phenomenal. This one is a YA graphic novel called Pumpkinheads by Rainbow Rowell. And I love anything by Rainbow Rowell. But it's a book where you're accomplishing a lot in a short amount of time. You could read it in a couple hours and you have a whole story. And you've dove in, you have an entire story. You can kind of check it off your list of something that you accomplished that day. And Pumpkinheads is very nostalgic. It's about two teens. It's their last fall working together at a pumpkin patch. And they're getting ready for college. It's just all sorts of warm fall feelings and nostalgia. If you want an adult title that we're going into the Christmas holidays, but Landline is one that Rainbow Rowell has written, is also got a lot of nostalgia. I think it hops back into the 80s on that one. It's been a few years since I read it. And she used to be a fan fiction writer. So it's kind of cool to see her. She even has a book called Fangirl, which is about a fan fiction writer. And then she has a book called Carry On that's based on the fan fiction she's writing in Fangirl. It's interesting. Anyways, permission to read graphic novels, permission to read children's books. The author, Gretchen Rubin, I don't know if anyone has read Gretchen Rubin's work, but she writes The Happiness Project. So if you're feeling stressed, just even in a regular year, The Happiness Project is a great one to pick up. And she's done a few other ones as well. And it really deals with like your personality and your family life and how to find happiness. But to find happiness, she created it's an adult book club, but it's all geared around children's literature. So permission to read Harry Potter, Anna Green Gables, Little Women, all the classics, as well as the new ones that are being written. And the other one I was going to suggest was Enola Holmes. There's the Enola Holmes, it's a local author that's written the series, so Nancy Springer. And the first one has just become it's a movie on Netflix, but it's also been turned into a graphic novel. So this one, it was turned into a graphic novel first in French, and then it turned into an English version of it. But the graphic novel is really sweet too, as well as all of her other ones. And the library has, I think, all the formats. So audiobook, physical books, as well as the graphic novel. And Enola Holmes is Sherlock Holmes' kid sister, and she has a natural ability to deduce, just like Sherlock Holmes, but it's done from a different point of view, and she's very independent. And they're fun for all ages. So I sent just a physical book copy to my grandfather, and he still enjoyed it. But they're quick reads, and you can kind of read, enjoy it, and then it's that kind of instant satisfaction. Okay, and this is my last slide that I'm going to show because I think everything else I can just ramble about. But Vanessa knows that I used to run the book to film club. So I'm always a fan of like doing your own book to film comparisons. And Enola Holmes is a great segue to that. Where'd You Go, Bernadette, I think was a very good parallel. Like they did a really, usually the book is always better. Usually. But this one's pretty close. I would say it's a pretty even. They had to do a few things different, but it was still a very good movie as well. And it's a great one that's quirky, kind of weird. And Bernadette's character is fun, but it allows you to kind of travel from your armchair really well, from the comfort of your own home. But you can do book to films on your own, just by yourself. Like, okay, I'm setting myself a goal. I'm gonna read this book, and then I'm gonna watch the movie afterwards, do my own comparisons. Or you can kind of meet up with friends virtually even, like, we're gonna do this and let's like chat on Zoom afterwards on what we think. So I'm gonna end the stop share. Okay, am I pinned as the main video or? Okay, I've got a few minutes left. I ramble a lot. So another thing is we're all kind of isolated and distant, so you can kind of create your own book clubs with friends. And Zoom is free for 40 minutes, or there's other platforms. So if you're doing like Google Hangouts, or maybe you just want to FaceTime one friend. One of the things I do with my friends, because we're all so busy, instead of assigning a book, we'll just chat about books. We'll say, I'm reading this, then this, and this. And what are you reading? And sometimes we pick up what they read, but it's just fun to kind of find out either new authors or, and to see what they're doing. One moment. My notes slid away. And reading doesn't have to be expensive. You can use library services. So even if you're not local, your local library should have ebooks and audiobooks. So that's a safe way to borrow without even having to leave your home. You just need your library card. We use Overdrive and Libby apps for our ebooks and audiobooks. And our library is still doing curbside or for the time being, as well as an option if you're wanting to stay in your car and just get them pulled out to you, or you can come into the library. But we're really recommending mask, social distancing, and more grab and go services. So it feels more safe because you're not like having people linger and stay for long periods of time. The other thing that I started, I have 5 minutes. So if you have questions, I'll add it to the chat box. Okay, I'll look at the chat, but I have 4 minutes left. And the other thing that I started because of the pandemic was a podcast. So BCPL Unstacked is the Bay County Public Library podcast. We do book suggestions. We talk about literary things that are happening in the world, which has been a lot of fun because I don't normally keep track on what's happening. And we'll have some themes, like today we're going to talk about Westerns or detective novels or horror stories for October. And we've also been interviewing authors. Next, we're going to interview, I don't know if you can see this, it's mirrored, but it's Stake by Kevin J. Anderson. And he has written like a lot of books with the Dune series as well as Star Wars. But this one is an interesting concept. Michael, I think you might like it. It's the concept of, is he a serial killer or is he a vampire hunter? Like which one? And I can't tell you which one it is, but it's really good and it's a fun read. I think that's it. Anyone want to chat?
That was excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank
really,
you.
Really good. I have a quick question about Zoom before we get to the other things. I noticed that there's only 3 minutes left and it's only 11:30. If people join the Zoom before time, is that when it starts? It must be, right?
Yeah, I bet you you're right. I bet you that's taking away some of the minutes.
Okay, so if you will, just like on the luncheon, if you'll join us at noon, so
Right
we'll
on
make
the
sure
dot.
that, so we don't run anybody short. Hopefully,
Okay.
I didn't know if that was the case. I thought the host sort of had to start it, but
I think you're right on that one, to
That's a
be honest.
guess.
I didn't think
It is
about it until, but I covered all my information, so
excellent.
we're good.
Excellent. That was so good. Anybody got a question or a comment?
I haven't done an audiobook from the library in a long time, so it'll be neat to download one, I guess, kind of like Audible then.
Yeah, Libby is really user-friendly. You just download that app, you use your library card number and your 4-digit PIN. If you don't remember your PIN, you'll call the library, we'll set it up for you.
Okay.
And it'll tell you which books are available right now and which ones you could be placed on hold for. And it's way cheaper than having an Audible account.
It is. Sure. Awesome. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Sarah. I love your presentation. I love your work. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. It was great. I want to say thank you again before we run out of time, and tell everyone I hope you'll grab some lunch and meet us back at noon. We're going to see a lot more great artwork and have some good discussion. Any final things, Sarah?
I think that's it for me. But thank you guys for letting me ramble.
Thank you so much. It was great.
Thank you.
See you guys in just a little while.